Hey everybody, Darmonkey here. The upcoming Diablo II Resurrected Patch 2.4 is introducing 6 new runewords. These are the first new runewords in over 10 years. This is super exciting. In this video, we're going to cover all 6 runewords that are going to be added in this upcoming patch. Okay, so there have been 6 new runewords announced so far, and it was really cool that these were actually announced and shared by Diablo II Resurrected streamers and content creators. So when will these runewords be available? Well, they're going to be available with the launch of Ladder Season 1 of Diablo II Resurrected. What that means is that you will only be able to create these runewords during Ladder Season 1. You will not be able to create them in single player or non-ladder characters until the conclusion of Season 1. After that, you can create them on single player, non-ladder, or if you had a ladder character, at the end of the season, they'll be transferred off to non-ladder, and you will still have all these runewords that you've created. Now, before we take a look at these runewords, we should talk a little bit about patch 2.4 and the goals that the developers have shared regarding this patch. This is going to be a huge change to the game, something that really hasn't happened in over a decade. So during this patch, they're really trying to do a few things. One, they're trying to make Act 1, 3, and 5 mercenaries more viable. Right now, almost everybody just uses the Act 2 mercenaries because they have very powerful auras that can help your character and make you a lot more powerful. You'll see that several of these new runewords actually come with auras, and they might be good fits for these other Act mercenaries. Goal number 2. The developers wanted to have better options for some of the underutilized runes, such as the Cham rune. It's a super high, super rare rune, but has very little value currently. And goal number 3, the developers have talked about how they want to make adjustments or balance changes to a lot of the skills that are out there that are not used that often to make other builds, other skills more viable for all of the different classes. Hey, this is Darmonkey from the future. Blizzard just released their patch 2.4 notes. So with that, they finally released the details for the runewords, including what stats have ranges. This information just came out, so I didn't have time to re-record this entire video, but the graphics are updated to reflect the ranges. So refer to the images and the text for accurate, updated information. In addition, Blizzard just released one additional runeword, Obsession. You'll see that at the end, as well as an update to Insight. Insight is one of the popular, very budget-friendly runewords to put on a mercenary, and it has been updated to be able to be used in bows and crossbows, which will make it viable for Act 1 mercenaries. Okay, back to old Darmonkey. All right, the first runeword that we're going to take a look at here is Unbending Will. This can be made in a 6-socket sword using the runes Fal, Io, Ith, Eld, El, and Hell. And so the rarest rune there is the Fal rune, which is really a lower mid rune. It's pretty easy to come by. And so looking at the stats, the first one is very interesting. 18% chance to cast level 18 taunt on striking. And so because of that high chance, that 18% chance on strike, this is something that's going to get cast quite a bit. And what does taunt do? Taunt actually causes the monster to attack you, and it also reduces their attack rating and their damage. Level 18 taunt actually reduces the attack rating and damage of the enemy by 39%. I mean, that is huge. Huge. So moving down, we've got +3 to barbarian combat skills, which is really nice. It's not all skills, but it's 3 combat skills. We've got 20% increased attack speed. It's always great to see IAS, but this isn't quite enough to hit the maximum whirlwind breakpoint. We've got 330% enhanced damage. That is a really solid bonus to damage. It's still not going to compete with Grief for the best melee weapon, but that's a really solid boost to damage. Is going to make it in line with some of those other lower tier endgame rune words, such as Oath. Then we've got some plus to maximum damage, which is great, and then small amounts of attack rating. It does have plus 75% damage to undead, which is great. We've got a little bit of attack rating to undead, a really solid 8% life stolen per hit. It's got prevent monster heal, which is a nice little add-on there. Some solid strength and vitality, which is awesome. Fixed 8 damage reduction. It's got the light radius, which is worthless, but hey, it's there. and of course lower requirements because of the Hell rune. So where would this rune word be used? So thinking back to the goals that the developers have laid out for patch 2.4, this would actually probably be a really solid fit for an Act 5 mercenary. So Act 5 mercenaries, they're barbarians, and so they're going to go out there with their giant sword, they're going to start whacking enemies, and they're going to be casting taunt all the time. And so what that means is they're going to kind of act as your tank. They're going to be pulling enemies into them. They're going to be doing solid damage, but they're going to keep those enemies off of you, so you're free to cast and kill them all, while at the same time, taunt is going to lower their damage, so to improve the survivability of your mercenary, as well as if any of those mobs do come over and start whacking on you. Now, besides an Act 5 mercenary, this could also be a good barbarian weapon. You could use this on a frenzy or concentrate or berserker barb, and it'll be kind of comparable to an oath. I mean, you're going to get different stats and different bonuses, but this would be a decent lower tier endgame weapon. Next, let's talk about the Mist rune word. This can be made in a 5-socket bow, which does have several viable options. To make this rune word, you'll need a Cham, Shale, Gull, Thull, and Ith. So this does contain a Cham high rune, which is one of those underutilized high runes. And you'll see that this rune word comes with a level 9 concentration aura, which is a really awesome aura. So level 9 concentration, that will give you 180% extra damage, as well as 20% chance to make your attack uninterruptible. Moving down the stats, you'll see it has +3 to all skills, which is solid. It's got 20% increased attack speed. It's got 100% piercing attack. With this bow, every attack will pierce. You do not need to put any points into the pierce skill. You do not need to have a razor tail belt. This gives you a ton of flexibility because you know that pierce is critical to the viability of any boazon. Moving on, we've got plus 327% enhanced damage. It's probably a range, but it's still a really high number. We've got a little bit to max damage. We've got 20% bonus to attack rating, which is solid. A little bit of cold damage, as well as freezes target. And so what this will do, combined with the piercing attack, will give you a lot of crowd control. It'll give you the ability to actually freeze your targets, to keep them back and away from hitting you. And then we've got 20 to vitality, really solid number. We've got 40 all resist. That's a ton of resistances. That's pretty great. Okay, so what will we use this for? The general consensus is that this is probably not as good as Faith. This might be a solid, viable endgame bow option for a boazon. But this might actually be a better fit for an Act 1 mercenary. You see that it's got the level 9 concentration aura, which could be a huge boost to the damage of your character. Throw this on that Act 1 merc, let it go out there, pierce attack, freezing targets, while still granting you that huge damage bonus from the concentration aura. That could be a really solid option for a ton of builds. Next, let's take a look at Flickering Flame. This can be made in 3-socket helms using the Neph, Pull, and Vex runes. When considering helms, you do have to remember that there are some class-specific helms out there, and this one might be a really solid fit for a Druid pelt. Let's take a look at the other stats to understand why. So first off, it has a level 8 resist fire aura when equipped. And so level 8 resist fire comes with 106% fire resist. This could be a really great option for Travancore to kind of mitigate that Hydra damage. It also complements spirit shields and their lack of bonuses to fire resist. Moving down the list of bonuses, we've got a solid +3 to fire skills. And so this will work for any of the classes with fire skills. A lot of times you like to see the +2 to all skills, but +3 to fire skills might be a really viable option for a number of builds, particularly those that right now are underutilized. So when you combine this bonus with some of the balance changes that Blizzard has talked about doing, this could be a really solid option. The next bonus is -13 to enemy fire resistance. Now this might be a range like -10 to -15 or something like that, but this can be a really solid boost to your damage. One thing I do want to call out though is that this does not apply to assassin traps because those are considered minions. Moving down, we've got some enhanced defense. Okay, some defense versus missiles, all right, whatever. But then there's a solid boost to mana. So we've actually seen a couple different screenshots, one with plus 68 to mana, one with plus 88. Either way, those are pretty solid boosts. And then we've got plus 5 to maximum fire resist, which plays well with the fire resist aura. Half freeze duration, you're probably going to try to get cannot be frozen from somewhere else. This is also a pretty common thing, so not a big deal. Poison length reduced by 50%. Okay, nice little bonus there. So where might you want to actually use this rune word? Well, I think the best fit here would actually be a fire druid. So if you combine these bonuses with what you might actually be able to get for plus to skills with a solid druid pelt, this could be an amazing helmet for a fire druid. It could also be a really solid option for a fire sorceress or a fire trapsin, but it may just not be as good all around as a Shaco. Shaco gets you 2 to all skills. It gets you a huge bonus to life, a huge bonus to mana. I mean, you are getting some mana here, but not probably quite as much as a Shaco. Shaco also has really solid damage reduction, not to mention, obviously, the huge magic find bonus. But for raw damage, for a fire build, this is probably a really solid option, if not best in slot, depending on how they do balance things out. And our next rune word is Wisdom. This is also a rune word for a 3-socket helm, similar to what we just looked at with Flickering Flame. And this rune word calls for the Pull, Ith, Eld runes. All are pretty attainable runes, with Pull being the rarest of all of them. And this looks to be a helm really targeted for an Amazon. You'll see that with the first bonus here, the plus 33% piercing attack. This is really nice to get on a helm, depending on what your gear choices are and how you want to build out your character. We've got 20% bonus to attack rating, which is a solid boost. We've got 5% mana stolen per hit, a little bit of enhanced defense, a little boost to energy, slower stamina drain, which is irrelevant. Cannot be frozen. Always love to see that. Helm is a decent slot to get that on. And then plus 5 mana after each kill, and 15% damage taken goes to mana. So you got a lot of weird little mana bonuses here. But I think the clear bonus that will decide whether or not you actually want to use this helm is going to be that piercing bonus. Given all the bonuses, this might be a solid Amazon leveling helm, but it may be challenging to get a pull rune at a time while it's still relevant to wear this. And our next rune word is Plague. This is designed for a 3-socket sword using a Cham, Shale, and rune. Now it's interesting to note that the Plague rune word has actually been in the game files for a very long time. It was just never activated within the game. But with patch 2.4, they have made some adjustments to this rune word and to the bonuses. So taking a look at the Plague rune word, we've got 20% chance to cast level 12 lower resist when struck. Lower resist is a really solid curse. The only problem is it's 20% when struck. You don't want to get struck. You're not going to get hit that many times. This is kind of confusing about how useful that bonus actually is. It also comes with 25% chance to cast level 15 Poison Nova on striking. So that sounds great, but level 15 Poison Nova really isn't going to do a ton of damage, at least not end game. But it does look pretty awesome. And 25% means it's going to be going off all the time. And next we've got our aura here. So we've got a level 14 cleansing aura. What does cleansing aura do? Well, the biggest thing is it removes curses. And so this can be a really solid option if you're going to be farming in Chaos Sanctuary or Travancore or other places where you're going to see a lot of curses coming out. It pretty much mitigates that completely, and you don't really have to worry about getting cursed because it's going to get removed before it matters. This can be a huge boost to your survivability as well as your mercenary. And next we've got +1 to all skills. It looks like this used to give the option to roll either +1 or +2 to all skills, which could make a really significant difference in the power of this rune word. Then we've got 20% increased attack speed. We've got 311% enhanced damage, so it's probably a range, but that's a pretty solid number. Then we've got -23% enemy poison resistance. This also probably a range. And that's a solid reduction to enemy poison resist, but it's really hard to know how viable this is actually going to be, because this is going to compete against Death's Web for your poison necros. And really, in a lot of cases, you're really just trying to kill that first monster so that you can then corpse explode it and just kind of blow up the entire room. How much will this make in the time that it takes to kill that first monster? It might be irrelevant. And then we've got plus 37% Deadly Strike, which is based on character level, which is a really solid percentage here for Deadly Strike. We've got 25% chance for open wounds, and we've got freezes target +3. What that means is anytime that you're going to hit an enemy, it's probably going to freeze for a little bit of time, which can be really solid for damage mitigation and some crowd control. So where is this rune word going to be used? Honestly, I'm not entirely sure. So first off, you're limited a little bit with that sword requirement versus any weapon. And despite a lot of references here to poison, I don't think this really fits well for a poison necro. Perhaps it'd be something that you might want to put on a mercenary when you're going to use a poison Javazon or some other poison damage skill build. But this could be a whole lot more valuable if that first bonus over there, if that lower resist bonus was actually upon striking instead of on being struck. I think that would really change the value of this item. Let me know in the comments where you think this would be useful, but I'm really struggling. And our final rune word is pattern. This was also in the game files from years ago, and this is designed for a 3-socket claw. So this is an assassin only item and requires the runes Tal, Ort, and Thul. So these are very low runes, and you'll see this is designed for a leveling character. But you do have to keep in mind that you have to be high enough level to get claws that are going to have 3 open sockets. So let's take a look at the bonuses. First one, 30% faster block rate. And so this could actually be a decent defensive option for weapon block. You could dual wield these and have 60% faster block rate to hit a really high block speed breakpoint. Then we've got 68% enhanced damage, a little bit of boost to the damage here for your martial artist. We've got 10% bonus to attack rating. And then we've got 3 types of elemental damage: fire, lightning, and cold. At least with the cold damage, what you know is that it will slow enemies, so that's decent for crowd control and some damage mitigation. We do have some poison damage and a decent 6 to strength, 6 to dexterity. That's solid for a low to mid-level item. And you do have 15 all resist, so that's a decent bonus that you're always looking for resistances. Overall, this might be a decent item for leveling as assassin. This is definitely not an endgame item. This is a stepping stone while you're leveling your assassin. And finally, the newest rune word, Obsession. This was actually announced by Blizzard in the patch 2.4 release notes. This is a rune word for a 6-socket staff, which means that it has to be done in a war staff or the exceptional or elite version of that. And this rune word really tries to make a staff viable. It contains a lot of really good stats, and it might be a good option for sorceresses when the base contains good skill bonuses. So to make this rune word, you need a 6 open socket staff, and you need a Zod, Ist, Lem, Lum, Io, Nef. That's a whole pile of runes. Obviously, the most challenging to get is going to be the Zod. That's the only high rune. Then you've got a few mid runes there as well. So let's take a look at the stats. First, you get Indestructible. That's coming from the Zod rune. Next, you've got 24% chance to cast level 10 Weaken when struck. So level 10 Weaken, that will actually lower your enemy's damage by 33%. I mean, that's a solid damage reduction, but it only triggers when you're struck. So hopefully you're not going to get hit that many times. Unless you're going to use this on a melee character, there might be some options where this might actually be a good fit for certain builds. Next, we've got +4 to all skills. That sounds awesome, but this is a 2-handed weapon. So it's going to take the place of a 1-handed weapon and a shield. So when you look at this from the sorceress perspective, this would be replacing likely the Oculus or Hoto, as well as a spirit shield. And those combined give you +5 to all skills. What's different is that this rune word gives you the option of finding a base that might have +2 skills. So you could combine those +4 to all skills with some other useful skills that would be on your base item, making a potentially super powerful weapon. We'll have to see how it plays out. Next, we've got a +65% faster cast rate. That's very competitive when you consider that this is taking up both slots. We've got 60% faster hit recovery. Obviously, that is an excellent defensive stat. We've got knockback, that in a lot of cases isn't a desirable stat for melee characters. We get plus 10 to vitality and energy. Nice little bonuses there. And then a really interesting one here with increasing maximum life by 15 to 25%. That could be a huge boost to the survivability of your character, particularly if you're going to get a higher roll of closer to 25% max life. Next, we've got a boost to your regeneration of mana of 15 to 30% and a really solid all resist between 60 and 70%. This really does compensate for the fact that this is a two-handed weapon. Then we've got a couple nice bonuses here at the end, 75% extra gold coming from your Lem rune, as well as 30% extra chance for magic items. So 30% bonus to magic find. That's coming from your ist. That's not a huge magic find bonus, but it might be enough depending on what the rest of your gear looks like. And that's the new Obsession Staff Runeword. It could be pretty interesting depending on what bonus skills you get on your base. That's it. That is a lot to digest. 6 new runewords, tons of bonuses, a lot of analysis and theory crafting and thought going into what's going to be valuable, what's going to be viable, what's going to be helpful for different builds. I don't know about you, but I am super excited for the upcoming ladder season. I can't wait to get out there, check out those balance changes, try some of those underutilized skills and builds and see what becomes viable. It's going to be a really exciting time as we all kind of learn the new meta, see what might be possible with the different act mercenaries, try out the Runewords, and kind of get a fresh start to this game. And this is an extremely exciting time. It has been over a decade since there have been major changes like this to Diablo II. I hope that you share my excitement for this. Some people are nervous about the changes to the game, but the developers have said that they intend to keep a lot of those popular, powerful builds very similar to the way that they are right now. They have a vision for improving the viability of a lot of underutilized skills, underutilized builds, to give all of us players more options to play this game. I am super excited about that opportunity and what that means for us all to discover together with this upcoming ladder season. So start thinking ahead to that weird build, that odd skill that you've seen in your skill tree that you've always been like, wow, I'd love to try that, and prepare yourself. Get pumped for ladder season 1 of Diablo II Resurrected. And as always, I will see you and your new Runewords in ladder season 1. Thanks for watching.